magire mtuzeha sana nenda finira chechemekwe uyango sedezi magire mtuzeha sana nenda finira chechemekwe uyango sedezi magire mtuzeha sana nenda finira chechemekwe. Bageri.
When we worked on these projects together, oh my God, it was just wonderful. Lisita, she's been a soul sister from the day I met her. But when I met Kristine, something different happened to me. I saw so much of what I've done, and I saw a lot of what Gordon has done in our time in trying to help people in a poor country which is getting no help. Though I have some wonderful news for you when we meet alone with Gordon in the last, when the meeting is over. Wonderful news. You're going to love it. This woman gives her time to educate other women and to empower other women. And anybody who takes their time to do that, to me, is just a gift from God. So when she said to me something about being a blessing, God should bless me, I said, God bless me, he sent you. And I meant that, Kristine, because what you're doing, I so admire what you're doing. I talk about you all the time. Okay, Kristine, the meeting is yours. I'm finished talking. Take it away and tell us all about what you do. You'll speak for like 20 minutes and then we'll meet alone with Gordon. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Lynn, for giving me this opportunity.
My pleasure.
To talk to my champions. My names are Kristine Yakhama. I come from Kenya. I work with women at the sub-county, Shinyalu sub-county, and I work in Virembe sub-location and Shingoto sub-location. The poverty rate at Shinyalu is at 87%. We are blessed with the forest, the only tropical rainforest in Africa, that is Kakamega rainforest. And we have gold mining that is going on at Chingoto sublocation. The challenges that we are having as a community is our soils are very infertile, and women are the backbone of the economy. Men are lost in drinking an illicit brew called changa. It renders them to an extent that they even don't see the value of having their kids, and all the roles are left. The woman becomes like the head of the family, at the same time the mother. It becomes a challenge. And one of the things that is happening in my community, they don't value educating girl child. They believe you'll be married, you'll go and develop where you're going to be married. Women are very vulnerable to an extent that they get work, casual work, during the rainy season, whereby they can be invited to go and weed farms or even assist in planting. But at the moment, as I'm speaking, right now is the dry season. So what these women are doing, they go to the Kakamega forest to collect firewood so that they can sell to at least afford a meal for the children. But what happens is, when they are found with forest wardens in the forest, these women, they negotiate for freedom by exchanging sex for firewood. And they cannot negotiate for safe sex. And that's why you find HIV is high in women in my community. What I've done with these women, I've put them in support groups. These support groups, whereby they try to fight the stigma and discrimination related to HIV. When you go to the gold mine, our women are being barred from entering the gold underground because of cultural reasons. An example is, when a woman is in menstruation period, she's not supposed to go near the gold mine. And when a woman, for instance, enters there, she comes with a bad omen to the community. That thus becomes a challenge. So what I did, I did mapping of these women, and I initiated a process whereby I had to have a dialogue meeting with them. And first, one of the things I told them to do, to draw in a map how they expect how their village can look like. They drew houses, they drew trees and everything. But the challenge is one. If you look at the gold mining site, you find men are like wives now. They wait for their wives to bring things on the table, yet their wives are being barred from entering there. What they use to clean the gold is called the mercury. And this mercury now is affecting the lives of these women. For instance, you find expectant mothers, they give birth to children with defects. The silicose causes tuberculosis. It becomes a challenge to these women. And you find like these women, for instance, those who have been diagnosed with tuberculosis, they don't adhere to the drugs. They default, they become multi-drug resistant. And it becomes a challenge because it spreads, that the TB spreads among the community. Now it reaches a point whereby I always ask them, why aren't you adhering to your drugs? They'll tell me, you cannot take drugs in an empty stomach. It becomes a challenge for me, whereby I've now been forced to come up with a kitchen garden. This kitchen garden is the one whereby I can sell the little food so that I can support them. And to an extent that I've decided to come up with some seeds, whereby these seeds I give them, they also sell. And then in those groups, they come up with the village saving and lendings, whereby they'll save and then they get savings and then they lend each other. And then by the end of the year, it's when now they sit down and contribute the shares that they've gotten. That poses a challenge. Last week, I had an opportunity to meet women, and they told me one of the reasons we're having problems is with our lands. You find like they have no rights and even access to their own land, whereby their in-laws take advantage of these women. They go to an extent that they even throw them out of their land. When they go to the assistant chief for help, this assistant chief, they're being bribed. And you find now, they don't assist the widows, nor the youth, nor even the women. They're left vulnerable, and thus it becomes empathy to the community. It's when now I decided to sit with them so that we can see how best we can address these issues of land rights. And we are still in the process on how these women, I can empower them so that they can be able to have identity card. An identity card in Kenya is like a passport. Nobody will know you without an identity card. Thus, even getting a title deed is not easy without an identity card. It becomes a challenge. So, part of the work that I'm trying to do with them right now, I'm trying to tell them what their rights are and the opportunities for them to influence the decisions affecting them. Through this initiative of Land Initiative, my expectation is that these women will be able to speak from themselves through the watchdog land groups, whereby these women will be keeping an eye on their fellow women so that they are not being exploited by people known to them. And I've always told them, when your husband has died, you need to have two eyes. One eye, you look at what is happening in the funeral, and the other one, ensure that you keep your identity card, the title deed, and your husband's documents. Otherwise, if we don't do that, it's when you end up being chased away from the land that your husband bought. And if your husband bought the land with you, it means you're the legitimate person to take over the deceased person's property. Thus, it becomes a challenge. I welcome any questions from members.
I want to know, how many people do you have helping you? Do you have like a force of people helping you? Do you have a team? Because I know in Lynn's kids, I have a team. I have my friend Fran, I have Tofik, I have George, I have Michael. I have people out there in the field with me when we're feeding the homeless. It's not just Tofik and Lynn. I have a team. Do you have a team working with you?
Yes, I have a team of 10 people.
Wonderful.
And among the 10 people, we have community health volunteers. Because you find all the issues that you are doing, it affects also their health. And that's how we are working together to ensure that we build synergies in all our respective activities so that no one is left behind. But one of the challenges I've seen that is happening, I happen to participate in a gender forum whereby we were supposed to make some input. I remember those deliberations, we took them, they were taken for negotiations in Italy, but I wasn't able to attend the July one due to funds. I didn't have somebody to support me to go and attend that negotiation. But we have the final draft of negotiations that is supposed to be in October. But we don't have any funding to go because part of the deliberations that we are speaking about is to do with gender equality and also the right to women to their properties. And what I saw is people don't seem to understand or value the value of women. Women, yes, we are producers. And if we are producers and we're not getting any income from our produce, we'll be doing nothing and will not be able to develop even our own small villages.
Does anybody else have any questions? Sanam, do you have a question to ask Kristine?
How long have you been involved in this work?
I've been involved in this work for 12 years.
Very interesting. It seems like very, very
She does some
meaningful.
wonderful wonder. Here are some pictures Tofik is showing you from the website. And what made you? Yeah, it's similar to Sanam's question. What made you? What turned you on to this project? I know when I started with Lynn's Kids, it was because of a gentleman from Sierra Leone who talked about how sad, how terrible it was that the children didn't have books. Being a child activist, it was easy for me to jump in and do my thing. Not easy, believe me. It brought a lot of headaches, but the point is, it was a wonderful thing to do, and he got publicity, and he got what he needed. And what made you want to do this?
What made me want to do this is I used to work in a community called Haega. In Haega, I found out that women are the ones who are leading in taking the illicit brew, and they left their children being their own head of families. It reached a point where children will go to school without shoes, with torn uniform. When I saw that, it didn't encourage me. And what I came to realize is these children were very bright in school, and they will go to school without even one meal. Even when they leave their house, the parents don't know that their children have gone to school. So what I did, there's a supermarket that I used to go here in Kakamega called Yako Supermarket. I actually met the proprietor of that supermarket, and I told him, there's a group I'm working with at Museno. How best can you support this community? It's when he told me, why can't you write, I'm a member of Lions Club, why can't you write to Lions Club? But us, what we always do is that members just contribute. We can see how best to contribute to this community. It's when now I had an opportunity to bring those Asians to that community. And what they saw, they told me, no, I don't think this is Kenya. I don't think people live the way these people are living. It's when I told them, if you can assist us educate these children will be the change agents for the community. Because looking at their parents, it's very difficult to change them. So why can't we begin changing these children? And how are we going to change these children? Why can't we take them to school? It's when now we took them to a school called the Donald Romeo Community School. And God has been faithful to these children. These children did the exams, they passed so well. And what they did, they've come back to that community. They are trying to address the issue about illicit brew. And again now, the parents, we happen to run voluntary counseling and testing. It's so sad that in that community, almost 100% of the people there, they're living HIV. Why? Due to the illicit brew, they used to engage in different behaviors there. It's when now I've tried several times to take their behavioral change and communication so that we can change their attitude, and women now can find their role and behave like the mothers, to lead by example in their homes.